Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Cheers. Very nice.
Hi everyone, happy a good Christmas and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. I feel like I'm a bit late to the party, but got here in the end. I thought I'd make a video on the top 5 things that have helped me since being diagnosed. Before we start, obviously I'm not a doctor or a neurologist or anybody like that, so these are just things that have helped me in the last 11 years living with Parkinson's. I'll go into each of these in more detail in later videos, but yeah, let's get to it. It's my top 5 things that have helped me on my journey with Parkinson's. So yeah, number 1 is exercise. We've all heard it before, exercise is good for Parkinson's. There's growing evidence that it actually slows the progression of the disease, and it also keeps you healthy and fit so that you can roll with the punches a bit. So I have a background in training in movement and dance, and I taught yoga for several years. So yeah, yoga was on top of my list. An exercise that helped me to come to the diagnosis. I discovered my body had a slight tremor and there were certain movements going on, and that took me to the neurologist in the first place, so I owe a lot to yoga. I've also found that Qigong recently has been very useful. I think both help with balance, coordination, toning the muscles and strengthening the muscles. I think one of the great things about swimming is you're sort of accessing lots of muscle groups all at the same time, and you're using the breath as well. And you've got the water around you supporting. I've also found cycling another good form of cardiovascular exercise. It sounds kind of obvious to say, but walking, if you are able to walk, even if it's just a short distance, it's a very good form of exercise. It keeps you sort of moving in a very gentle way. So yes, number 2 is diet. I personally have problems with my bowels and my bladder, so it's really helpful for me. I drink lots of fluid, lots of water, because I take a lot of medication, and it's a way for me to kind of flush it all through my kidneys. And I also find that I sweat quite a lot with Parkinson's, so it's good to have a bit of extra fluid in that respect. And in terms of diet, I mean, I'm vegan myself, so I eat a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables. I've read a lot of research online that the best diet for Parkinson's is the Mediterranean diet. So I guess that's a mixture of whole grain seeds, fruit and vegetables in high levels, and just kind of cutting down on refined sugars. And I was actually told to increase the salt in my food. I saw my Parkinson's nurse, and one of my symptoms of Parkinson's is I have quite low blood pressure, which is not uncommon. So she said, put some more salt on your food because that will raise your blood pressure. With Parkinson's is constipation. I find that eating dried prunes and adding ground linseeds to my food is really, really helpful. It keeps me kind of regular, and again, drinking lots of water as well. So when I get outside into nature and look at a beautiful view, or hear a bird sing, or smell a flower, it takes me out of myself for that moment, and it helps me to put Parkinson's in perspective. For me, I found that I've really developed a passion for photography, primarily taking pictures of nature. I've also found it really helpful to keep plants, house plants. When I was diagnosed, a few years afterwards, my mother died, and then my father died a few years after that. So there's a lot of grieving. I decided it was really important to have something growing in my house, some new growth. I found that growing plants is something to remind me that life continues and there are new beginnings. So it's a little bit later on in the day, and earlier I had a few technical difficulties making the video, and often when I make these videos my mind goes completely blank. I forget what I'm saying. I've also found that cycling is really another good form. Oh, fuck. A few years into my diagnosis, I really wasn't coping in terms of a few years into my diagnosis, I was really struggling with my mental health, mostly anxiety. And so I made this decision to go and see a neurologist. So I made the decision to go and see a counsellor. I approached Andy for initially 6 sessions, and those 6 sessions turned out to be 4 years. There was a lot to go through. And yeah, I found it so beneficial. It really helped me to come to terms with and start to accept the diagnosis, and helped me to manage some pretty difficult emotions. So anyone who's considering talking therapy as a way of managing their symptoms, or just as a way of coping with diagnosis and living with Parkinson's, I'd really recommend talking therapies. I think it's really important to find a therapist that you really works for you and you feel very comfortable with. But I think it's very important to talk about your Parkinson's, particularly for men, where we're, certainly here in England anyway, we're told that we shouldn't show emotions and we shouldn't talk about things like this. Thanks for watching. If you want to show your appreciation for the videos, please don't forget to press the like button, which is somewhere down there, I think. And it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel, and the button somewhere up there. Both those actions help to raise the profile of the channel, which means that hopefully more people with Parkinson's will come across it.